Another little wannabe gangster trying to play hard.
Welcome to the second season of the MaXed podcast. I have a real good friend of mine. He's a reporter. I've been knowing him for a long time. His name is David Aldridge, man. Thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, Max, always a pleasure to be on with you, brother. Anytime you need me to come on, I'll be happy to do so.
And to the Olympics, man, that was a big deal, man. Talk to me about your experience in Barcelona.
Vern, I tell you, man, that's the only time I went to my boss and said, I'm going to cover this. We're not discussing this. I'm covering the Olympics.
Right.
And he was like, okay, if you want to do that, then you got to do the work. And so I did the work all in 1991. And so, yeah, getting to go there, man, it was everything I thought it would be. It's still the best thing I ever covered in my life.
Wow.
Just being around that group, Vern. I mean, it was just, I never seen anything like that. Just the players on the other teams asking dudes for autographs and pictures during the game, Vern. Like,
they are already defeated.
You know what I'm saying? Take a picture with me, Magic. You know that? Wow. Okay. It was crazy. They were, obviously there was no competition. They were just basically seeing how good they could be. And, they won. I think they won by an average of like 46 points a game or something like that. It was crazy, man. Like my favorite stat from that time is Chris Mullin shot 75% on threes.
Yeah, that was crazy. He couldn't miss one.
He didn't miss.
Yeah, he couldn't miss.
They were unbelievable. I still think Chuck was the best player in that team. Matt, I mean, when I say that, I'm not saying he was better than Michael as a player. I'm saying
no doubt. Yeah.
Chuck was the best player on that team. Like he was in shape, and he was motivated and played out of his mind. And Michael was just kind of hanging in the back. Like he'd turn it on every once in a while, but he wasn't really trying to exert himself,
Right.
And so, and Magic was great, but I thought Chuck was better. Man, it was great, man. It was great just getting to spend some time with those guys, in another setting where they kind of understand, we kind of all like Americans over there, So it was different than when they're in the NBA and you're on a team and it's, you see them like once or twice during the regular season and then you don't see them again. Right. So to spend, man, we were with them for like 6 weeks before the games because they trained and they had the tournament in Portland. Then they had the training camp in San Diego. Then they went to Monte Carlo. I didn't get to go to that because Wilbon Bigfooted me on that. Wilbon was a columnist at the Post. He's like, I'll go to Monte Carlo.
Yeah,
he Bigfooted it from me, bro.
Yeah, I bet you would go to Monte Carlo.
But I did get to go to Barcelona with him, so that was okay. That was, but it was great. It was great. It was obviously the best basketball team I ever saw. And what they did for the game. I mean, they were the reason why the game started to grow globally. Like if you talk to any you talk to any like international player who was a kid back then, like Tony Parker and Dirk and Pau Gasol, they all said the same thing. After I saw the Olympics, I was like, oh, well, I want to play basketball. Like that looks like fun, So that really started the European players to start thinking seriously about playing basketball. And that's why I think that's why it started becoming a global sport because people saw that team and how great they were. And, everybody, Magic and Michael were just on another planet in terms of popularity. You obviously know. So it was just to see that in person was just amazing. It was incredible.
Wow. That's, yeah. You went on to ESPN, man, and talk to me about your time over there at ESPN.
It was good for a while, then it wasn't good at the end, but that's television, like TV.
Right.
You have a shelf life, and when they want to replace you, they replace you. they replace everybody, Vern. It wasn't just.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, it's like
you know what I'm saying. So, like, I can't. I'm older now, so I don't get as mad about things as I used to.
Right.
So yeah, it was great because I learned about television. You know, that was like you can't learn about being on TV at any place better than ESPN because
that's right.
The impact it has. People watch it. People return your phone calls. They ain't never returned my phone calls before. You know what I mean? You get that call right back. You know what I'm saying? So, well, it's all good. But yeah, man, it was great. I worked with some great producers over there, and I learned really valuable lesson about TV. It's like, you know, when you're a writer, it's what you write. You're responsible for what you write, the things that you write in the story. And it's all on you. Like, so if it's bad, it's on you. If it's good, it's on you. But with TV, it's got to be, you got to work with not just the producer, but the cameraman and the sound person. And if they say, no, that's a bad, we got to do it again. You got to do it again. You can't just say, oh, that's a good take. No, they're trying to help you, you know? So, you have to listen. And that was really the best thing I learned from working at ESPN was that I had to learn to listen to other people that might know what they're talking about and stop.
No doubt.
Like I know everything. You know what I mean? Like, so, so that was good because it taught me how to be part of like more of a team, you know? And so that was when I went to Turner, I kind of knew that. And I think it enabled me to do my best work at Turner because I wasn't thinking about myself as much as I did when I was at ESPN.
Right. I got you. You had some great interviews too, man, in the NBA with some of the biggest stars, man. I mean, some huge NBA superstars, mega stars.
Yeah.
I mean, give me just one conversation that really sticks out. That one of them big name guys that you had.
I was very, very blessed and lucky and fortunate that I got to talk to. I always like talking to AI, man. I love talking to that kid. I talked to him from his rookie season to the end of his career. Yeah. You know what I liked about what I really appreciated about Alan is that Alan and I come from very different places. Right. Alan's a superstar. He's the biggest guy in the league. You know.
Yes.
And he could have just said, "I don't want to talk to you." You know, like he could have made it like, "What do you know about me? You don't know nothing about what I grew up." And you know what? He's right. I don't. But he respected me. I think.
Yes, he did.
You know what I mean? I think he saw me and said, "Damn, I don't see people look like him on TV. Let me talk to him." Mm-hmm. You know, and I respected him, and so we could have really good conversations where there was no judgment. Like if I asked him a tough question, he didn't be like, "I'm not going to talk about that." You know, like he'd answer the question. You know, like so we could talk to each other on the real and have good conversations. And so I always liked doing interviews with AI because Alan was fair to me, and I like to think I was fair with him, you know, and so that led to some real kind of honest talks about things like, you know, when he and LB, as you know, were butt heads, you know, he never held back. He would say sometimes it's Larry's fault and sometimes it's my fault, you know, so, you know, so it was always like talking to him. I always like talking to Chuck because Chuck, you know, Chuck would be funny and say funny stuff. Shaq was the same way. Shaq is like a big kid, you know, like big, you know, the biggest 13-year-old in the world is like, I like to call him, you know, like,
yeah, he's funny.
You know what I mean? But Shaq would but it was funny. He would do a good interview. So I just love talking to the guys in that era, man. That was my, you know, I love that era of basketball. I love the Bulls and the Pistons and the Rockets and, you know, Knicks. Because I think, Fern, and you would know this better than I do, but I always felt like the rivalries were much more real back then, like because guys tended to stay on teams longer because there wasn't really free agency.
Right.
So you got to develop some real hatred for some dudes.
But you...
Which I think made for better basketball because they really hate each other.
That's right. I can tell you, I agree. I agree, Bert. For real. It was crazy back then, though.
Yeah, I loved it. Loved it. I learned a lot. I really did learn a lot about people in the league. And I covered the Bullets back then. And they were terrible, but But West Junior, Big West, West Unsett Senior, I should say, Big West, most righteous dude I ever covered, man. He never lied to me. Never, ever lied to me in 5 years. He never lied to me. Told me the truth every time. He would tell you the God's honest truth about what they were doing and what he thought about his players. And it just, when you cover somebody like that, you have a standard. And so in my dealings with other people, I'd be like, well, wait a minute, why are you lying to me? Like, just don't lie to me. You can say no comment, no comments from me. Don't lie to me. That's all. That's all I ask. And because Wes never lied to me, and just being able to be around a Hall of Famer like him, saw how he carried himself, be like, okay, that's the standard. That's the standard right there. A guy like him,
That's good, man. That's a good story right there. You covered Philadelphia Inquiry and Turner Sports, and the difference between covering baseball and football, man. Talk to me about that as far as basketball.
Oh, dude, it's totally different, obviously, right? But it's it's different. It's just different socially. It's different in every possible way you could think it would be different, especially baseball, because baseball is just rooted in things that are not in my universe. You
didn't grow up around
things I didn't grow up with. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you're just gonna be like, oh, okay, so they do it this way. All right, so so you just kind of. I said with baseball, I tend to be more observant than try to have because they just do it different, man. It's a different world. Man. They just the things that are. The people in the clubhouse are different. They come from different places than I grew up in. I grew up around. So you just are like, all right, okay, let me just, I just can't be the same. I can't be the same person. I got to be different. Right. So it's okay. I like baseball as a sport. It's hard to watch on TV. I think that's part of baseball's problem is that young people get bored watching it on TV just because there's not that much action. But I think it's a fun sport when you're in person watching a game, because you can sit in the stands and have a beer and talk to whoever you came to the game with, and be relaxed and comfortable. And because there's not as much action, that makes it kind of, you can kind of just hang out. If it's a nice day, it's kind of fun to be outside. But yeah, it was different, Bert. I ain't gonna lie. It was very different talking to guys who come from the South and come from different spots than I, and when and we just would see the world really differently, you know what I mean? So, yeah, but you're just talking to them as a baseball player. You're not trying to be friends with them, you just kept it to that. It was okay.
Right.
But I just didn't have the social kind of comfort in a baseball clubhouse than I did in the NBA locker room. It was just just like I could kick it with you, because we could talk about things, and it was all good, but in baseball, you just have to kind of be like, all right, it was different, but I had fun because when I was in Philly, the Phillies were just starting to be good. And they had guys like Jimmy Rollins was in that clubhouse, and Jimmy's a good dude, man. Jimmy taught me a lot about baseball, and Ryan Howard was another dude. So there were dudes in that clubhouse that were okay to talk to, and I like talking to them, and they helped me out with stuff because they knew I was not a baseball expert. Right. They would help me out with stuff, you know what I mean? So I didn't say something stupid. So they had good guys in that clubhouse. So it wasn't, and their manager was a good old boy, but he was, how there's some white folks that are okay around black people. You can just tell, like they don't act like white people act like around black people. They just act like themselves, right? You know what I mean? Like, so he just acted like enough, and you could tell. All right, well you can tell he's been around some black people. He's not tripping off of this, right? Like so. So it was all right to talk to him, Charlie Manuel, and Charlie was old white man, but he respected me. Like he didn't treat me different or nothing like that. And so I got along with him. So they had a good clubhouse. So when I did baseball in Philly, it wasn't that bad, because there were guys I could talk to in the clubhouse. It was all right.
Right. That's cool. So internationally, the game has been taken over, man. I'm talking about the NBA,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
I mean, I know you got some of your favorite players. I mean, one of your favorite players. You could talk about that. European players just taking over the NBA, man. It's just crazy.
It is. It is. It just is like, you know, um, I don't think like, you know, part of it is, I think American basketball, we got to figure some things out in terms of how we teach our kids how to play, you know. And I think it's getting better now. I think the coaching in AAU is much better than it was 10 years ago. But we're still chasing that AAU dollar in a way that I think is detrimental to the kids,
Right.
Like Vern, you had to make the varsity, you had to be really good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You had to work your way up to the varsity. You just be on the varsity in the ninth grade.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you had to go through your growing pains and make your mistakes, whether you play freshman or JV, and then you made the varsity.
Right.
And now guys just get varsity spots that haven't earned them yet. And I think that's to the detriment of the young men. Like they got to learn, I've seen this with my kids when they play sports. Like, you need to be coached. You need somebody to tell you, bro, no, you're wrong. No, that's not how we do that. And you need to, and you have to explain. I had to explain to my kids, like, he's not mad at you, son. He's coaching you. Like if he didn't think you could play, he wouldn't be coaching you.
He can't say nothing to these people.
You can't say nothing to him now, And so I think that's part of it. Whereas in Europe, I think they get coached. They go to these academies and they get coached when they're 12 years old and 13 years old. Right. No, this is how you do a reverse pivot. This is how you do a drop step.
Right.
And so their fundamentals are sharp. They're on point when they get to the league or they get to college here in the States. And the skill level, the skill level is better all around the world. Everybody's better than they were 30 years ago. And that doesn't mean they're better basketball players. I'm not saying that. I'm saying their skill level, things they can do. There's just more people who can do more things than there were 30 years ago. But I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I just want our kids to not, they need to be coached, I think, is what I would say. They just need to be coached the way you were coached growing up. Like, there was,
right. Hard.
You were coached hard. And, that made you a better player because you knew, all right, I can't do it this way. I got to do it this way to
discipline.
To do what I need to do to make it to the next level, right? And so that's where. But I don't begrudge, like, Giannis is a great player, man. And Giannis, even though he grew up in Greece, he grew up poor in Greece, so he still has that work ethic of, I got to be great. I don't want to go back to that. I'm trying to go back to that life. You know what I mean? Right. So he's hungry. He has that hunger, and so there's still guys that I think come from that kind of background from overseas. And I think it makes, the league better. I don't mind that. I just don't want our kids to get left behind.
Right. That's right. And you got this big award, man, back in 2016, man, the Kirk Gowdy, man.
Yeah.
That was big, man. Well deserved, man. Talk to me about that, how much it meant to you. Talk to me about
man,
that.
That's the highlight of my career.
Wow.
Like if you're a player, you're like, well, maybe if someday I have a good enough career, maybe I could get in the Hall of Fame. That's the best I can do, right? As a player. Well, the best I can do is the Kirk Gowdy Media Award, because that's obviously I wasn't a player. So in our world, that's the biggest we can do. So for me to get that opportunity and be in the same room or on the same level with the greatest writers of all, the people that cover basketball that were the best ever. David Dupree was my role model. He was one of my mentors growing up. From USA Today, Pre was the coolest dude I'd ever seen. When I watch him, like everybody talked to Pre, everybody, and I was like, damn, I want to be like that, because there weren't too many people that looked like us too. Back when I started covering basketball, you were always the only one. Right. And the guys David Steele and Curtis Bunn and Terry Foster and all the guys that I came into the league with, we were all young African-American men in rooms where there were no other young African-American men, like we were the only ones, so to see somebody like Dupree, you'd be like, that's what I want to emulate. So, and then for me to be in the same company as him, that's like, man, I don't even know what to say about that. You know what I mean? And then, that's right. And now Wilpon's in, and then Jay Adonde just got in this year. So, to be in the room with those folks and guys like Mark Heisler and Jackie McMullen and Jack McCallum, who covered the league for Sports Illustrated for so many years, like, man, that's humbling, man. You just feel humble and grateful, And so, like I said, when I got the award, like, this is because of my mom and dad, man. No chance without that. No chance. So I know why I'm here. Because of him, because of James and Muriel Aldridge. That's why. That's why I'm here.
That's right. Yeah, that's a great story right there, man. But how often do you hear, like, on 2K now? people might say, man, that's you the guy on 2K, man. That voice I hear on 2K, man. So how often do you hear that? And then how did the opportunity come arise, man? That was on that popular game, man.
All the time. It's crazy, Vern, because it's a whole new audience, right? Like,
of course,
it's always kids. It's always like, teenagers. None of them know I worked at the Washington Post. They have no idea. They don't remember I worked at ESPN. Like they might remember I was at Turner. That's about it. It's about it. They don't know anything about the first 20 years of my career. No recollection. And that's okay. That's fine. But they know me about 2K. And 2K is very simple. Kevin Harlan's the reason I'm on 2K, period, end of sentence. That's it. Because when I was at Turner doing games, I was a sideline guy with Kevin and Reggie. And Kevin was already doing the game. And so we were wherever, I can't remember what city we were in at a game. And he was like, and he talks the exact same way off the air than he does on the air. So it's like, David, do you know anything about this 2K game? Do you know anything about that? And I was like, no, I don't play video games. I don't know. I have no idea what this is. It's like, you gotta get in on this game. It's great. I've been doing it for a few years. And he told me they were looking for like a sideline reporter spot where, as they were kind of expanding the game. And so he told me I called the guy up and he was like, yeah, we'd be very interested. And so that's how I got in the game, man. Been doing it for like 8 or 9 years now, and so it's been, humbling. It's amazing. I learned so much about how much detail they go into to make that game real as possible. Like they send people to arenas just to look at the signage in arenas, and then they copy that signage when they do the arenas for the game. And so it's like, it's a sound, and the sound they have is the same sound as from NBA arenas. It's amazing how much detail they go into. And that's why it's been the number one game for a minute now. And will continue to be. So I just did the voice for next year's game last week. So,
that's big.
Be out, so 25 will be out. Usually it comes out right before Christmas, I guess. So it'll be out in the fall. So yeah, man, it's been amazing talking to kids, and they're like, yeah, it's the voice, which is surprising.
Yes, right.
Because I was in TV for a long time, so usually with TV, it's like, oh, I've seen you on TV. But with the kids now, it's like, as soon as they hear me talk, they're like, you're the guy from 2K, and so it's like, wow, this is amazing. Yeah. Crazy.
And then you got 2 boys now.
Yes.
Tell me when they first found out about this. Now your boy's gonna be on 2K. Tell me what they reaction.
It was weird because it's weird. It was weird. Like they played the game. They both played the game. So, but they don't. I think they don't want to pump my head up too much, so they don't say too much about how good I am. You know what I mean? Like, they just be like, yeah, I heard you on the game, Dad. I heard you. You know, like that. They don't give me no real props about my sideline reports. You know, they just keep playing the game. They love the franchise and all that because the older boy he's the brainiac, so he loves being the GM and making all the trades and stuff. He loves that stuff. Building a franchise, and he loves that stuff, man.
Oh, so he is doing real big, building a franchise.
That's what he likes doing. And then the young one just likes to play the game.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. So they can't pump Dad's head up too big, Burns.
I got you on that. I got you on that. Hey, just the big guy over there in San Antonio, man, Victor.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to pronounce his last name. I'm sorry, Victor, but talk about him, man, and how that's amazing.
Just call him Wemby. Just call him Wemby, man.
Wemby. All right, Wemby.
Yeah, man. He is, he's something, man. I mean, you know when guys come into this league, sometimes there's a lot of hype and you're like, I don't know if he's all that now, but this guy is all that. He's going to be, I mean, Bernie hit him with the sham god. Did you see that? Hit the two with the sham god. What?
I carry it. I
couldn't believe that. So like he is, the obvious part is the defensive piece. Like, you can just see dudes just pulling up. They're taking runners from the 3-point line. You know what I'm saying? I ain't going to there.
That's right. Yes, right.
So yeah, he's something. And the thing that I've talked to him a few times is that he really wants to be great. Like he's not kidding about that. He's putting the work in. He wants to come here and dominate, man. That's his. He's like Anthony Edwards in that vein. Like they're trying to take this thing over, man. They're not afraid of nobody. Now they're gonna make their mistakes, but they're not afraid. So this guy's gonna be. He's something special, man. Like dudes that live up to the hype. That's the dudes that I have respect for. Like when LeBron came in with the most hype of all time.
Right.
And he's lived up to every minute of it. He's been as great as we all thought he was going to be, So that's hard to do. And so at least the first year, I think Vic has lived up to all the hype, like he's going to be when he gets stronger, and it's not going to take him that much longer as long as his body holds up.
Oh yeah.
If he gets stronger, just enough to be able to hold this position for a second. That's all he needs. And he's good, and so man, I think he's going to be one of the greats. He's going to be one of the best.
Yeah. My young guy, I love Brandon Miller. I mean, he's in Charlotte where I live, and I think he can be a star.
Yep, absolutely.
Tell me what's your thoughts about him this year? Well, he had a great year.
Yes, he did. I mean, because of all the injuries they had, I think they had to kind of like speed up his development a little bit. They had to run the offense through him a lot the second half of the season, which is, there's a lot of pressure on him. But on the other hand, he learned what it was like. Oh, shoot, I'm number one on the scouting report. You know what I mean? Like, they going to guard me a little differently now, But you learn about double teams and where they're coming from and, how you can manipulate defenses to get the ball to the open guy. So, oh, man, he's talented, man. He's going to be a great player, I think, in this league.
Yeah.
Because he's got, I think he's got a good feel for the game. It didn't seem to me like he was forcing it, like sometimes young guys, and it's not because they're selfish, it's because they're young. They just don't know any better. They'll force it like I'm the first round pick. I gotta show everybody. And it didn't seem like he forced it. If it was there, he'd take it, but he wasn't trying to force it to make a point. He was just playing basketball. And I think he's going to be a really good basketball player because he's already understands kind of how to play, so he's going to be terrific. I think so. So they just got to put more talent around him and he's going to be all right.
No doubt. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what Charlotte don't know how to do. I don't know why every damn year they just don't know how to, everybody leave, all the good players leave. But hopefully they'll put some good players around my young boy. Another young guy that I like, talk about the Ant-Man. What's your thoughts on him?
I was just there. I was in Minnesota last week. weekend for the games 3 and 4 of the playoff series with Denver. And you know what, man? And Vern, this was. I was trying to think of when I ever heard this before from a young guy. So they got beaten game 3, and he had like 19 points, but obviously didn't impact the game. And he comes in the press room and he goes, "Put this one on me. This is on me." Because I didn't come out with enough energy. And for a young guy to do that in the playoffs, like that doesn't usually happen. So I mean, he's gonna be a superstar, man. That kid. He's got no fear. Now, I try to tell people, stop your role. He ain't MJ. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Don't do that to the young man. They talk about he MJ. I'm like, I'm sorry. Did he score 63 in Boston Garden his second season in the playoffs? Like MJ did? Like, come on. Stop it. So, no, he ain't MJ. But he's not afraid of anybody. He's coming here to destroy people. And that is like MJ,
no doubt, every night.
And so he wants to be great. I love when he was woofing at KD. And that's why KD was smiling. He's like, okay, I got you. Like, I get it. Like, I'm here.
Yeah, that's right.
So he can make every shot. He can 3-level scorer. He can get to the basket whenever he wants to. Splash the 3. He'll pass the ball when he's double teamed. He's going to be he is a superstar. What am I saying? He already is a superstar. It's just a matter of that team. Hopefully, the young guys mature and the old guys can squeeze another year out of Conley and Gobert, hopefully, for that group. I think, ain't no shame if they lose to the defending champions. Denver is
no doubt.
Right. That's why they won the chip last year. And like we were talking about before, Jokic is unbelievable.
Yeah, just know how to win.
He's unbelievable. And when Gordon plays like he played the other night, people can't beat them.
No, can't
beat them. They're too good, man. And Jamal's healthy now. His calf is feeling good.
Yes.
This is Jamal making these crazy shots. So
shots like he always do.
Exactly. They're the best bad shot making team in the league.
Oh my goodness, yes.
They make 6 or 7 contested tough shots every game that just break your spirit. You know what I mean? Like you'd be gone for 22 seconds and the dude rise up and hit a fadeaway on you.
Right. Yeah. That reminds me of this young boy I want to ask you a question about. Shea Gilchrist.
Yeah.
He got, I felt like he was close in the MVP race, but talk to me about, he didn't receive it, but I think he had a hell of a year.
Oh,
still is.
Right. Just watch, you just watch him the other night when they beat Dallas in Dallas. Like, he, like all great players, Vern, this, you can't speed him up. He gets to his spot. Doesn't matter if it takes him 5 seconds or 22 seconds. He's going to get to his spot. And then you got to hope he misses. That's all. Because you can't guard him. Like he's too
6'7".
Too quick for big guys and too big for little guys, So
right.
He's nice, man. He gets to his spots. I love, what I love about him, Vern? He lives in that middle. It just drives me crazy. Listen to people talk about basketball and talk like the two-pointer is a bad shot. Why is it a bad shot? You can make it. Why is it a bad shot? Like when I came into the league, Ricky Pierce, Dale could make the 3, but Dale made a lot of mid-range twos. Jeff Malone, who I covered in DC, Jeff Hornacek, them dudes lived at the elbows.
Right,
they can make the shot. Why is that a bad shot? You know what I'm saying? Like,
my spot. I'm getting my spot.
Let him cook at his spot.
Right.
Andrew Toney. The list goes on and on. Rock Richmond, all of them. They got to this spot, and it's 2 points. So what are we talking about? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So SGA lives in the mid-range. He gets to his spot.
Right.
Makes the shot. So what are we talking about? Like, let him do what he does, So yeah, he's going to be. He's already special. Like he gets fouled. He already has the respect of the referees, where he gets fouled a lot. and gets to the line and shoots a bunch of free throws like Brunson's doing in New York, like so that he has that skill. And it's a skill, I think. It's a skill to get the refs to blow their whistle. They know how to do it,
I know that.
So yeah, he's a great young player, man. That's OKC is going to be there for a minute because they got a bunch of dudes that they just keep running dudes in there that are good players, man. So they're going to be really good for a while.
Yeah, the Knicks are good again this year. That's crazy. I mean, about time, and what that means to the league with them being good and playing so good in the playoffs. That means
so there's nothing like the Garden when it's hot. When it's hopping, like the Garden is just like that's what I call it, the Mecca, right? Like it's just different, man. The energy is different, the vibe is different, the crowd is different, and it's good for the league. To me, like these playoffs, this is why these playoffs are important because not only do you have the good teams in the small markets, like Minnesota's a small market and OKC is a small market, and they have really good teams, but then you also have New York and Boston doing work in the playoffs, and so you're serving all the constituencies of the NBA. The fans in the big cities that have grown up watching the Lakers and the Celtics and the Sixers and the Knicks and the Bulls. And then you got the fans in middle of the country that get to watch their teams, So I think it's perfect. It's perfect. But New York being good, man, I don't care what nobody says. It's good for the league. It helps. It's good for fan interest. Even if it's like the Cowboys. Half of the people love them and half of the people hate them. So that means you get everybody, right? Like you get all the fans, right? All the fans are there to watch the Knicks for good or for bad. Either they're rooting for them or they're rooting against them, So that's a win-win for the NBA.
Wow. It's in your podcast with Hoop Agent.
Yeah.
I think I said the name right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, I love being on the show when I was out there in Utah, man. It was fun as hell. We got some great answers. some great questions. I love being on there.
Yeah.
And you and Big Woes. Tell me, how that came together and all that, man.
Man, well, we were, when I got here to the Athletic, I told them, we were talking about a lot of different things, and the podcast came up, and I was like, look, I want to do, I would love to do a podcast, but I want to do it my way, and I want to have people on that I'm comfortable with and that I like, some good conversations,
Right.
I don't want some producer telling me who to put on the show. I'll tell you who I want to be on the show, and I'd rather do it that way. And they were very, they were agreeable to that, to their credit, not to mine, to their credit. And so we've been doing the show now for about, 4 years.
Wow.
So now Marcus and I do the show. Marcus Thompson and I do the show now. And it's great. We get to kick it with our friends that love the league the way we love the league, and we can talk and have great guests on because Marcus, he covers the Warriors. He's been out, writes columns about Golden State, so he gets stuff on for us. We get people, yourself, that played. We've had Chuck on, we've had Chris Webber on, where we get people that comment on the league, like Stan Van and some other guys. So it's I just love talking about basketball, man. I was talking about the game with people that I really respect, that know what they're talking about. We've had Delaney on to talk about what it's like to be a referee covering the NBA, we like people that like basketball. So if you like basketball, you're cool. You can come on the show. Well, I can't have nobody on that doesn't like basketball, so I love talking about whatever's coming on, whatever's going on, whether it's in basketball or in the world. Like we try to do a little thing, try to do our thing. I can't be like, Shannon and Shay Shay. I can't be doing I can't do that. I don't have that skill set. I talk about, we'll get into a little bit of Kendrick, Drake beef, we'll talk about a little bit,
Nothing wrong with it.
We like to talk about everything, but the main thing is we like to talk about basketball. So it's been fun doing that show, man. Love doing it. We're going to talk about the lottery today and Atlanta get the first pick and what that means. So yeah, it's been fun. It's a good show.
Right. That's good. Well, Dave, like I said, once again, man, I appreciate you for coming on my show. I got to return the favor for you. I got to sit down and do a real one just like you did.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you so much.
And we're going to have you on again. Love talking to you, man. Love hearing what you think about everything.
Thanks, man.
So yeah, we'll definitely get you on again, man. Appreciate you asking me to come on your show because again, Vern, like you've been good to me over the years. You never big time me. You always had respect for me, and I hope I return the favor.
Oh yes, Dave, you did, man. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, my brother. Much love. Thanks.
Never know wanna be gangster trying to play hard.